Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Today, we're having a very special keynote with our special guest, Salvador Santana. He is a Grammy Award winning musician and co founder of the socially conscious cannabis brand, VAYA. Salvador is passionate about the medical and spiritual benefits of cannabis and is dedicated to creating a brand centered around equity, social consciousness, and sustainable practices. Thanks for being here with us, Salvador.
Thank you for having me. Honored to be here.
So I'm really excited to learn a bit more about VAYA. I had the pleasure of speaking with your father, Carlos, last summer for our summer issue of Cannabis and Tech Today. And he talked about that your family has really had a long history with the plant and that it's been something that he can remember seeing in as medicinal uses for most of his life. I'd love to know sort of when you first realized the value of cannabis as a medicine.
That's a great question, Trish. So, growing up in the Bay Area, cannabis is always around, especially when you go out to concerts, when you pretty much go anywhere. Growing up out there, it's like the equivalent of like maybe if you have the opportunity to go over to Europe, and if you're in Italy or in Greece and what have you, and you see kids sitting down with their families at dinner and they're allowed to have just a little bit of glass of wine or what have you. And that's okay because it's not taboo. No one's hiding anything. They're being very upfront and also teaching young kids and young people to be responsible and what have you with it and to not look at it as taboo or something that's really scary or spooky. You educate along with it. And I had a similar experience, not saying that I, partake in anything, at a young age. However, it was all around. When I would go to my dad's concerts or, shows or things like that, it was constantly there, but it was never taboo. It was never anything like spooky or the boogeyman. My folks went out of their way to remind me that just be a kid, enjoy where you are in life now and what you're doing. And later on, that stuff is for much later on. Even though they didn't necessarily want me to do anything like that, they trusted and knew that they taught me as much as they could in the very beginning to trust me to make the right decisions and what have you. And I feel like I have the opportunity now as a father to do that with my son, to share and to educate that the plant, as you alluded to earlier, it's very much medicinal. It's ancient. And as old and has been around here since as long as this planet Earth, And speaking to that, it also has a lot of I grew up not only with very strong men in my family, but a lot of strong women, super strong women in my family, and realizing also that the plant is feminine. The one that the part of the plant that we consume is feminine. And then it comes from our planet Earth, we call Mother Earth, is feminine. I was like, man, there's a lot of connections here, And so, women, healing, nurturing, medicine, medicinal and taking care. I was like, okay, I'm starting to connect some dots here. But, as I got older, I realized, I said, you know what, if I was to ever get involved in the cannabis business or in some way, shape or form, especially once it would be legalized, I would want to have that opportunity again to educate and remind people that it should not be, cannabis cannot and should not be equated to like opioids or even alcohol or any type of narcotic. This is something that's been around since the beginning of time, and our ancestors were using, like you said, you talked to my father not too long ago, and he was saying how my great-grandparents, his grandparents, and my grandmother, his mother, would use the plant herself, not to consume, but to, use it as either an herb itself or to put it in tea or as some sort of a herbal remedy or a medicinal remedy. This is stuff that's been going on forever, so it's not anything new. So I'm just, again, really, really blessed and super just excited to be here to share my background and how I'm just so blessed again to have not come up with that perception that it's scary, that it's bad for you, that it's terrible. That's gonna great thing. Of course, with everything there comes great responsibility. However, with education, there's that ability to have that freedom to enjoy and to share how to enjoy with others, is what I believe.
I love that. Yeah, I think he mentioned that your grandmother would make tinctures and concentrates. And I thought that must be such a graceful way to be introduced to the plant as a medicine, as a healing herb, rather than, as you said, something to be scared of. So I really appreciate sharing that perspective with people, especially who maybe come from a more conservative background where it has been looked at negatively. It's refreshing to hear of it being embraced and used as part of that medicine cabinet mentality.
Absolutely. And again, for me, growing up in the late 80s and the 90s, especially when they were pushing the DARE programs and what have you, just how I'll just bunch every single drug all in it all at once and just tell all the kids they're bad for them and this brain on drugs to scramble the egg and blah, blah, all that stuff. And I'm just, after a while, I was just like, it just doesn't seem right because, again, my family background being the flower children that my parents were in the hippie era. Like you said, my grandmother making tinctures and other herbal remedies. Oh, and by the way, this was in like the 30s and the 40s, 1930s and 1940s. Doing this. So this was like, she was definitely ahead of her time. Just like a lot of, again, just not bragging, just saying like a lot of people in my family just were something about us. We just do stuff differently, and we don't expect to try and please anybody else. We just do it for what we feel like is the right thing to do because we feel like others are going to benefit from it. So that's our passion, that's our mission, and again, that's part of why I feel like is my main purpose of why I was so strongly encouraged and inspired to be a part of something like to create VAYA. To have that opportunity to again share that the education, to share that passion, and then to also be able to give back. As well, not just do it maybe like, bigger corporations might be doing it now, or, we're starting to do it. It's more about, again, inviting and also just reminding, honoring, validating a community. And what better way to do so than through social equity? And also as this business is growing, I definitely see an opportunity for more and more of that to happen, but this is what's been going on, but I feel like in order for that, it's gotta be a movement, and I'm just grateful to be a part of what I feel like is something that is not only it's coming, but it's on the come up. It's happening as we speak right now. I'm just grateful to be a part of it.
I love that. Yeah. I've heard your brand described as socially conscious with kind of a feminist tone. And I love that verbiage. Maybe you could unpack that a little bit for our audience and tell me how you infuse that ideology sort of into the culture of your company.
Yeah, that's a great question. So again, went back to my original heritage, my heritage, my roots, and then the original the plant itself, again, being feminine, coming from planet Earth, Mother Earth, feminine. And then I was just like, okay, whatever I do with this brand, with this company, with this, with my passion, with my mission, whatever I do, it has to have feminine empowerment. And again, for me, that's just something that I grew up with because I had strong women constantly around me. My mother, first and foremost, my grandmothers as well, on both sides of the family. Again, my dad's mom really in terms of actually committing and using the plant herself. And I, again, wanted to infuse that into the company and the brand itself. And I hadn't come up with the name yet. A friend of mine by the name of Vincenzo Carano and Jessica Hooper, we got together and we basically just came up with, they were able to help me come up with all the ideas that I had in my head in order to put this together. And I had this one name in mind. I just had VAYA. I had it in mind because I would always say it, to my son, like, let's go. Like in Spanish, it means like, let's go. It's like a form of like enthusiasm, like, dale, let's go, vámonos, vaya. And then I did some more research and realized that it actually also means in Sanskrit, it has a totally different definition, but of feminine empowerment is what it alludes to and what it defines. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, this is beyond coincidental. Like, this is crazy, And so it just felt right from the start to commit to that name, because it encapsulated everything that I feel like I was going for, everything that I wasn't able to quite see right then and there, and also honoring my heritage and my roots as well. And also all the strong, amazing women that come from my family as well. So, and then last but not least, also aligning that with the idea to promote the plant itself as a wellness like revolution, and also by taking that idea with combining it with the ancient wisdom and the rituals that maybe our ancestors used to do back in the day, and combine that with today's modern science as well. So, and that's in fact, that's VAYA's slogan. We are ancient wisdom, modern medicine. And and so again, it's also to advance again that ancient wisdom, and for also our own individual personal development. In this fast-paced life, it's so hard to just even sit down and find the time to even have a conversation with you guys, which I'm honored to do, and I'm so happy to be here. But we live such fast-paced lives now. There's so much stuff to keep track of. Now that I'm a father and everything, all these parents that have been doing it, man, I give so much power and respect, and have so much admiration, because I'm like, man, just trying to balance everything. It's really challenging, but it's so worth it, for me. And speaking on that, what we at VAYA also encourage everyone to do is to just slow down, just take a second and find your ritual, whatever that is, in terms of, and whatever your consumption preferences are, to honor that and be you, and again, promote that personal development along with and celebrate your own individuality. For me, my ritual is I try to wake up every morning, obviously, an hour before my son. That never happens, but I try to. And then I try to come into this spot right here. It's not too far from my crib. I come here and I just have a little coffee, maybe just light up a little joint or a little something from the night before, what have you, and just start creating and just vibing out. And then for me, that's my ritual, because then I know I can be in my comfort zone, I can focus, and I can use it to my advantage to help stimulate my creative flow and the creative process. And so I just do my best to try and do that, and just having little rituals, having little routines, that are, again, beneficial for your personal mental health, development, and what have you. And I just think that's super important this day and age. And so, again, I wanted to be able to promote that through VAYA and through our brand, and not just say, here's some weed, kids, go ahead and buy this. It's like, nah, man, no, we really want people. It's like, for me as being a musician, I want people to connect with my music. I don't want to just play a note. I want people to feel what I'm playing. Maya Angelou had this amazing quote: people aren't going to remember you by what you said. People aren't going to even remember you by what you did. People are going to remember you by how you made them feel. And as a musician, that's my job, is to make sure that people can understand what their feelings sound like, and to remind them that it's, what do y'all kids say? It's cool to be in y'all feelings. It's totally cool. So, last but not least, that for me is what's most important, is to be able to honor, again, everybody's own personal path, their personal development of routine, ritual, self-promotion, and self-empowerment. I think it's important.
I love that. I love speaking with artists and discovering how they use the herb to sort of supplement their creativity. So I'm so grateful you shared sort of that ritual you have for making sure that you're making time to be creative and connect and be focused. I wonder, is there a process for how you choose maybe which strains you like to ingest while you're being creative? I spoke with someone the other day who said they maybe if they have to do something quickly, they'll choose like a more uppity strain. And if they have more time to do something, they might choose a more mellow strain.
That's a great question. I'm a connoisseur, so I love to do a little bit of everything. Me personally, I guess I would be like the equivalent of like a foodie. I'm a weedie. I don't know what you would call it, but yeah, me personally, and again because I'm more or less a new parent still. I still want to be like on my toes and what have you. So lately, it's been more sativas, but I'm definitely a big indica person because I guess growing up in the Bay, the weakest stuff will still put you on your butt, up there. And all we do is just puff blunts up there and everything. So like, I guess I just by default kind of have a higher tolerance. But nowadays, I try to keep it as mellow as possible so I can be as tip top and 100% and be there for my son in case he needs me for anything. But overall, yeah, I'm an indica guy, but just lately it's been sativas. But at VAYA, we have four flavors. We have four strains that we can offer to everybody. We have a sativa, we have a sativa hybrid, we have an indica, and we have an indica concentrate. And the indica concentrate is Looney Tunes. It is cray-cray. It's basically, it's called, all the strains, I decided to, again, with VAYA, I wanted to keep everything to my roots, which is being Africano, being African American, Irish, but also Chicano, being Latino and Mexican. I wanted to make sure that everything stayed Spanish, or in Espanol. So with the sativa, it's a sour diesel, but I wanted to call it gasolina. And then with the the runts with the candy, we called it ponche suave, because I like a sweet flavor, and that's the that's the indica. The gasolina is the sativa, and then the moon rock, that's the luna roca. That's that concentrate I was talking about. The last batch we had, I believe, tested at like 38%, which is pretty gnarly. This next batch, I heard, tested at just over 40%, 41%.
Wow.
So I try to enjoy that one like late at night, kids asleep. I haven't got anything, which is never the case. I don't have anything to do the next morning. But all the flavors are amazing. I've tried all of them. I stand by all of them. I want to make sure too that, because again, I'm being affiliated with it, and I'm standing by it. I want to make sure that it lives up to exactly what I would want if I was a consumer. Just like I do with my music. I want to make sure that if I was a fan, I'm living up to the musical expectations of what I would want to hear my favorite artist perform or what have you. Is it ever going to be perfect? No, but man, this stuff is awesome. I stand by it. And I just invite everyone to respectfully, safely, as always, just to enjoy and participate and try them out. Let me know what you think. I think there's a little something for everybody, with all four flavors we got.
Well, it sounds like you're pretty involved with the processes. How do you come up with the strain names, or do you try what you have and then think on how it makes you feel? What's the process for that?
With this one, it was actually pretty 1, 2, 3. It was pretty simple. We just had the previous names, and I was just like, all right, let me just translate them into Spanish. Keep it on brand, keep it to my heart, keep it to what's authentic, because authenticity is, Trish, that's what separates they doing good. They doing good in the business. They doing good in the game from the greats, from like, okay, these guys are slaying it because, you don't have to guess who they are or anything. They just, And for me, I think the authenticity is what sells. It sells for me. It's what I think really it defines who you are in music, or just in other artistic realms. So I figure if it can transfer over into this avenue as well. So it was pretty easy. Just again, give me the name. I'll just figure out how to do it in Spanish, and if I can't figure it out, I'll ask one of my relatives, and if it gets too personal, then I'll just ask Google and go from there. But I didn't ask Google. So
nice. Well, so that makes me think about the authenticity bit. And that was a big part of why we wanted you to participate in this, because that really comes through in who you are. And I think something that you've been very passionate about is making a brand that can do good for the community and has that resilience and uses practices that are healthy for the environment, for the planet. So maybe you could share a bit with us about the work that you're doing, maybe first and foremost with social equity and how you're kind of bringing that into the brand.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, when I talk about the community, specifically, Trish, I'm talking about the Black and Brown communities, and especially their important, huge, important role in the cannabis industry from the start, long before legalization was even a conversation, like a real conversation. It was just like, one day it'll be legal. Like, I want to honor those that have been doing it long before I was around, long before I was even a thought, you know. And it's not to please anybody. It's more like, no, this is give credit where credit's due, you know. And I feel like actions speak louder than words. Even though I'm talking to you, at the same time, I'm also supporting. I'm not just talking about it. I'm walking it. I'm supporting and affiliating myself with a cultivator. I linked up with the co-founder and partner, actually, of mine, with VAYA, out of Oakland, California. Afro-Cuban, so we got the Africano, you know, Latino thing as well. We got that, you know, that's what's similar for us. We got that in mind, and it just made sense. In speaking with Deji Simmons, and speaking with Deji, my partner, basically we lined, Trish. I was doing an interview just like this. I was talking with him about his role in the cannabis world. We were doing a docuseries, and this was right before COVID shut everything down last year, like around this time. So I was really grateful. That was one of my last trips that I took. Went up to the Bay, did some interviews, and Deji was one of the last ones. We started talking. Next thing we know, we're forming a partnership because it felt right. I was like, because I was like, man, I've had other people approach me, you know, to do business and talking all sorts of dollar signs on checks and all these zeros and stuff. And I was like, man, it's got to be done right. You can't buy my authenticity. You can't buy my integrity like that. It's got to be done right. So I was like, man, out of Oakland, California, where I'm from, up in the Bay, Afro-Cuban, and Deji's cool, man. He's a cat where he's a musician himself, as well as a studio engineer, producer like myself. And it's crazy. I'm surprised we hadn't met before in the past. He knows so many musicians and just the same people I know up in the Bay. I'm still flabbergasted to this day how we did not meet earlier. But we started talking, and next thing you know, we're forming a partnership, and everything is done up there. You know, it's a one-stop shop. We got everything up there, so I can go up there and visit. Since I'm down here in LA, I can go up and visit and see the spots, see all the beautiful plants and as coming to fruition, and like you said, test everything, make sure it's all good, and that's what I was able to do before we were able to do our first launch back in December. Was to make sure that everything was, you know, right before you send out the food, I guess, to the diners, you want to just do that last little taste and make sure it's all good. So I was really grateful to be a part of that process, and I give it all to Deji, especially because he was one of the, not only is he an amazing person, a partner of mine now, and we have a similar passion, but he's been doing it longer than I've, you know, longer than I've been participating in consuming. He's been doing this in terms of all the bootstrapping and actually like on the ground, like actually doing it. And it's incredible just to see how far things have come, but still how much further we have to go. And again, by honoring social equity, when anybody wants to invest in VAYA in any way, shape, or form, they know that they're supporting a Black and Brown based company, and it's not just going back to big Amazon, Google-like corporations that are predominantly white, you know, owned. This is actually going to the community, and then we can share that we have an opportunity. Once we grow bigger, we can share that with the rest of the communities, take that bigger, take that blueprint, expand on it, and invite more to be a part of this movement. And I feel like it's a pretty big table. I feel like we can all have our place at the table. We can all eat, and nobody has to, stab each other's hands with the forks because there's not enough food left and what have you. I don't think it has to be like that, So that's what I envision. I envision a world one day without borders and flags, and I envision a day where we can all eat at this table, and there isn't any fighting, there isn't any greed. We know there's enough to keep us going, and we got enough to move forward. That's what I see. That's what I envision.
That's so cool. I actually saw the interview you did with Digi. Am I saying his name right?
Deji, yeah.
Deji. And it's odd that you would bring that up because I thought you had such a chemistry during that discussion that I'm surprised that was the first time that you interacted with each other. You seemed like such old friends.
Right, I know, and you're so right, Trish. That's why for me, I've always had this because growing up, having the last name that I have, I've had to figure out at a young age that first of all, no matter what, there's always advantages and disadvantages in life, no matter who you are and where you are in life, what you're going through, where you've been. I've learned that I've had so many blessings in my life. One of the challenges I've had to figure out was to learn how to read people and read their energy, especially as a young kid and just growing up and learning that people are going to figure out who I am and have, preconceived ideas and what have you. Mm-hmm. So it's all about me not trying to, please anybody or change anybody's perspective of me, but just for me to be me. And, if you don't like what they see, it's cool. You can change the channel or what have you. But otherwise, hey, I'm here, But with all that said, like the chemistry, like you said a second ago, it just felt right. Once I saw my son born, I really started to learn how to be extra conscious, not even just protective, but just conscious of different energy that comes around me, my family, my son, just everything like that. And once I met Deji, I was just like, man, none of this feels forced. None of this feels, if anything, like you said, I'm surprised. Like this is one of those where I'm like, man, this is too good to be real. Is this really happening? Like, is this, like you said, we just vibing, and we just literally met at that interview. And people can check that out, by the way, at VAYA_.floor. That's on the Instagram, and on VAYA.earth as well. You can check all that stuff out. But yeah, just from day one, it felt right. And for me, that's honestly how I've been able to get to this point and still just enjoy life as much as possible. To trust my inner gut, trust the people around me, trust the higher presence, however you want to call it. And for me also just to trust in general that the energy that's presented in front of me, it's for me just to make a decision, either to move forward or just nothing personal. And my motto is just to keep it moving. If it ain't working, you just keep it moving. Whether that's move on or move away or whatever, just keep moving. So with Deji, it was the opposite. It was move on, man. Or move forward. Let's make this happen. Let's get it.
VAYA.
VAYA. I was just, man. Okay. See, we on the same vibe too.
I love that.
Yeah. So it just felt right from day one, and that's for me is it just, if it feels right, I go for it. It's just that simple. And with Deji, it felt right.
Too cool. Well, how are you guys working to deliver sustainable products, to make things that are, organic or more earth friendly?
That's such a great question. We are actually working on that right now. We have some ideas and what have you. My main thing to go backwards, actually, Trish, you asked a question about what was one of the main reasons why I wanted to get involved in the industry, or what inspired that. One of it also too was just a few years ago, once cannabis became legal out here in California, let alone just in the U.S. I started seeing again. I was like, man, there's enough plastic and enough garbage and enough waste, with the packaging enough, especially back in the day, like when you would go to your homie or whatever, they'd hook you stuff up in little sandwich bags or what have you. it was DL or whatever, those little like earring bags or jewelry bags, and some of them were non see through. And if you even go backwards, it was like those film canisters from our parents' age.
Yeah.
But nothing. I thought about it. I was like, man, none of the packaging was ever thought of to be just biodegradable or earth friendly, as you were saying. And it's so. I just feel like it's not ironic. It's almost kind of like it's contradictory because the plant itself comes from the earth, and once you're done with it, how you consume it regularly just by smoking it with a joint or what have you, that's basically biodegradable. You can just toss that and it's whatever. Like, it's no big deal. It's not like a cigarette, where there's still cigarette butts in the ocean that people smoked like 50, 60 years ago and what have you. So for me, that was one of the first reasons where I was like, man, if I ever get involved in the industry, it would not only be to uplift a community, particularly a group of people, Black and brown, the communities themselves who deserve that credit and deserve that upliftment, but also to find a way to create that much more sustainable packaging or sustainable ways to consume, and it not be so detrimental either to our bodies or to our planet Earth. Because I view it the same way, man. Earth is a living organism, just like us, just like our bodies. We gotta take care of it, just like we gotta take care of ourselves. I feel like, I'm not a tree hugger or anything, but I just keep it real, So and so one of the things we want to do is create some sort of packaging that could be maybe hemp based, where once you're done with it, you can literally just put it in a compostable bag, give it back to the earth, no trip, or just even create something where you just constantly, it's made from 100%, the packaging is made from 100% recyclable materials, and what have you. So it just keeps constantly, we just speak to, we're authentic. We don't just talk about it, we be about it. Everything we do has a conscious thought to it and a considerate thought to others around us as well, to take care of each other and to promote, again, that personal healthy like development. And again, what better way to do so than to be a part of this movement to help rearrange the stigma and the narrative around cannabis, whether it be a group of people, people still getting it, Black and brown especially, still getting incarcerated and thrown in jail, just for having little dime bags, while, predominantly white corporations and people a part of those corporations are making millions and trillions off of that stuff. So just that as an example, and again, trying to figure out how to apply that to sustainable practices, man. These are challenges that I look forward to. These ones don't scare me, or I don't feel like it's like trying to climb Mount Everest and all you got is one backpack or whatever. Like, these are challenges that I welcome. Roll up the sleeves and let's get it. And what better way to do so than, again, with cats like Deji, Vincenzo, all these people, that I've been able to align myself with. Rico Lamite as well. Shout out to Rico. There's all these cats that are really just out here, like, they believe in what I'm doing, and it's crazy. Sometimes I feel like others believe it even that much more than I do at times. And for me, I get re-inspired where I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, that's something I was thinking about. And they're like, yeah, duh, that's what you thought about. Now go out and get it. And I'm like, you're right. So, I look forward to having the next conversation with you guys, saying like, yo, now we have these fully 100, this is like over 50% recyclable, which is how I wanted to start off, at least make it as recyclable as possible. But then hopefully sooner than later, Trish, we can have these conversations of like, 100% recyclable materials. We're one of the first ones to do it.
I love that. I think so many companies are working to find those solutions. And I think it's an important part of like why we do this conference and why events and collaboration are vital. You've got to speak with other people and find out how are they solving these problems, and how can we work together to create solutions that will benefit everyone. And I think as more states become legal, and hopefully we're on our way to federal legalization, we'll all feel more open to kind of collaborating and sharing, and not being so like that closet grow mentality, like, oh, my secrets are my own. I think the more that we're able to collaborate, the faster we'll come to those really awesome solutions. And that's something that you do all the time with music, right? Is like finding collaborators, finding people who see your vision and helping to amplify each other that way.
Absolutely. That's a great word, amplify. We say that in music all the time. And I think that's exactly it, because collaboration is a really powerful tool. I think strength in numbers, and especially when two brilliant or multiple brilliant minds and hearts and talents can get together and join forces. I think the options are and the possibilities are unlimited. So yeah, that's for me where I want to continue to be and to continue to grow, to just be that much better as a musician, as a human being, as a father, as a husband, as a man, excuse me, as a man, and then also too as now a businessman in the cannabis world too, and then also somebody who represents, Black and brown, and also my family, my heritage, just everything. I just want to do it to the best of my ability, and so far, and also have fun and with zest and to enjoy as well. And we're not going to let a pandemic or anything slow us down. If anything, if it's funny, in a way, if the pandemic hadn't happened, I'm not sure if VAYA would have actually come to fruition, or maybe come into fruition like the way it did, because that's how we were able to create it, with my partner and with the co-founders, again, with Vincenzo and with Jess. We just got together and did a bunch of workshops from like March, April, all the way into May last year, and we were able to get something. It's crazy. It was almost like putting an album together. We did it so fast, and it was really, really cool. We were passionate. I was passionate, and it reminded me and retaught me that if you really want something, you put that work in, and you don't look at it as like work. You look at it as like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I got to do this, and I'm just so proud and so happy that we were able to form VAYA.
Love it. Well, so with that in mind, I guess we've kind of covered where the plant has come from and how it's evolved. What do you see as the future for the cannabis space?
Ooh, man, that's a great question. Man, you know what? If you had asked me that before COVID, I probably would have given you a different answer. But now, wow, it's just, the landscape has just changed so much. I'll try to give you two answers: the one before the COVID and one with now. So, pandemic and everything, I foresaw, like you said, people that may not agree, people that can agree to disagree, getting together and sharing their thoughts and viewpoints about the plant. From a business standpoint, from a intellectual standpoint, from a consumption, standpoint. It's almost like we can talk. It's almost like we can talk politics, but nobody gets their feelings hurt, kind of thing. I really feel like we can all have a level of maturity, spiritual maturity, and spiritual adult like maturity, to be able to converse and talk about something that's been around again since longer than we were. I really honestly believe there were dinosaurs on this earth, like walking around. T-Rex was chewing on some giant, plant or pot leaves or what have you, like high as shit, walking around. Who knows, But it's been around forever, and so that's what I mean. I want to honor that, and I think in order to move forward, sometimes you just have to not take a step backwards, but just take a peek with how, like you said, how did we get here? Okay, we see how we got here. Now, how do we go from here to where we're trying to get to? And again, with that. So that's pre-COVID, all of us just getting together, enjoying, kind of like almost like if you can do a beer taste or like a wine taste, or you can do a cannabis tasting or what have you. I thought the options were limited or unlimited, but now with COVID and everything, we're trying to be safe until we can figure all this stuff out, and vaccinations, and everyone's taking care of each other. I think it's just about being safe, just really promoting. In order to really honor others, I think, not in a egotistical or in a cocky way, you gotta have some appreciation for yourself as well. And I think, if anything, being isolated for this year, basically, being isolated, it's really taught me to just be cool with myself. Because as a musician and as somebody who's always on stage and always around people, you just get used to that. I wouldn't say I enjoyed that, but you just get used to that. And then all of a sudden, you're just you're by yourself and you're with the people that, that's most sacred to you and what have you. And so it really taught me to just enjoy being you, figure out what you want to do, who you are, and again, figure out how you got here from where you are. Like, so I had to go and figure out my heritage in order to figure out this is how I want to honor it with beyond my music. I want to honor it in the cannabis world as well. And so with the future, I think the more honoring we can do, the more we can figure out how to join forces, align, and again, the options become unlimited because, we have everything, every single possibility and idea, and we have all the resources and the people to help us out to make that happen, come to fruition. So I see a beautiful future. I just think we just got to be safe. Whatever the cannabis consumption process is for everyone, just be safe, enjoy, and if anybody does again participate with VAYA, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. And if it is the moon rock, enjoy, be safe. Make sure y'all got nothing to do for the next 2, 3, maybe even 4 hours, depending on who you are. I just want to leave it at that.
Good call. I think that's a powerful takeaway to maybe sort of close on. But lastly, would you like to share once again where people can learn a little bit more about VAYA and maybe some of the other work you're doing? Absolutely.
Thank you. So if anybody else was curious and wants to know more about VAYA, myself, and the journey that I'm on in this cannabis world and in the business, you can check out vaya.earth, and you can also check out at VAYA_floor, at VAYA_floor. That's the Instagram. You can check all that out, and then also keep up with what I'm doing musically, because I got some stuff that I be cooking up. Since you guys see me here, I'm cooking up some stuff, so you can check all that stuff out and keep up to date with that stuff and keep posted with it. SalvadorSantana.com, as well as at Salvador Santana Music, and then you can follow me. That's my Instagram. And I'm just honored, Trish, and Emerge. Thank you for having me. Everybody else, thank you for listening and being here. I'm truly honored and grateful to be here, and looking forward to the next one. And hopefully you guys can check out VAYA and let me know what y'all think, man, and the music as well. Let me know what y'all think. And I do this all for, first and foremost, I do it for my son. I want him to be proud of me. Second of all, I just do it because I feel like this is my purpose. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm having a lot of fun figuring out how to do it each and every day.
That's so great. Thank you for sharing with us. It was beautiful to hear your wisdom and positivity about the space. And I feel like I learned a lot, so I hope our audience did as well. It was a pleasure. And to our audience and those out there listening and watching, until next time, this has been Patricia Miller and Salvador Santana signing off.
Simple to use, easy to clean, incredibly precise. Introducing the first packaging and weighing system designed specifically for the cannabis industry. One that gives you more control, consistency, and a better product. The Greenvault system Precision Batcher is designed to offer you the flexibility to switch your packaging options seamlessly. This innovative packaging technology uses gentle puffs of air, also known as air cush technology, to move product rather than vibration. The process aids in the preservation of trichomes on your flower, leading to a higher end potency, better market price, and a customer experience that lives up to your brand's high standards. Technology unlike any other, built for an industry unlike any other. Instead of repurposing technology from other industries, Greenvault Systems engineered their integrated packaging and weighing system for the unique characteristics and demands of cannabis. It's built to help grow your business from the ground up.